Welcome back everybody, welcome back to another episode on EI Entertainment Studios, back at it with another debate video. Today's debate video we're going to be talking about Legendary Mechagodzilla versus Legendary Destoroyah. I think it's a match made in heaven. So, what we're going to do today is we're going to go over these two, I want to say currently, fan-made kaijus because I know that Legendary Mechagodzilla is officially in Godzilla vs. Kong. However, we don't know the true origins and we haven't actually seen it. This video is coming out quite a few months before Godzilla vs. Kong actually comes out. So since the movie isn't actually out yet, I'm still going to classify it as a fan-made kaiju because the backstory for both of these monsters, I made it up myself with my own mind, so they're not official. But they're what I think it's gonna be. This is the point of the debate videos. If you've never seen these debate videos ever, the fan-made kaijus, what I try to do is I try to look at the kaiju and I try to imagine its backstory, its abilities, its characteristics, all of the stuff as accurate as possible if it were to be on the silver screen. So this is gonna be a reality check if Legendary Mechagodzilla has a very similar backstory. And the backstory that I came up with this specific monster, I think might actually be the one they use in Godzilla vs. Kong because it makes the most sense. So without further ado, let's begin. We'll go over Legendary Mechagodzilla first, and then we'll go over Legendary Destoroyah, and then we'll put these two monsters up against each other and see if these two kaijus were to fight, who would be the ultimate victor, or the true king of monsters, per to say. Without further ado, let's begin. Legendary Mechagodzilla came into existence after the one head of King Ghidorah was found in the Pacific Ocean. The Ghidorah head was dissected and Titan DNA was extracted and was put into wire circuits to flow with artificial intelligence. And after tests and failures, a compatible environment was discovered. A robotic Godzilla body was made, and the tested circuits were put inside to create Legendary Mechagodzilla. So this is the backstory that I came up with for this specific monster. Let's go over the abilities. I'm gonna go over the abilities, I'm gonna skim them, we're gonna finish everything of Legendary Mechagodzilla, and then we'll go back to the abilities, so don't worry about it. So the first ability starting off with is EMP, gravity beams, electricity control, super missiles, instant repair mechanism, and red alert blast. The height is approximately 115 meters tall. Territorial levels are maximum, aggression level is maximum, and biome is Earth. So let's go back to the abilities. So starting off with EMP, obviously we know EMP is pretty much electromagnetic pulse. And it pretty much shuts down anything, as an example of a plane, a car, a watch. It'll shut all of those down. That's what EMP does. It shuts down anything that's electronic, or has any electronic things connected to it. Like a car does, a plane does, a phone does, I'm assuming. Probably, yeah. I'm not a scientist, so I don't know. And a thing does too. A watch does for sure. Anyways, that's what EMP is, and it possesses that. Next are gravity beams. And now if you're a continuing Godzilla fan, you're like, wait a minute, EI, why are you using gravity beams? Isn't that what King Ghidorah has? Well, if you paid attention in the backstory, I did say that they used the King Ghidorah head. Remember, there is no other Titan DNA to extract it from, so they're gonna go and use King Ghidorah's fallen head, cut off head, as the starting point for the DNA, because humans can't make anything out of anything. We can't make anything out of even pure nothing. So we need something to start off with. And the gravity beam will be a result of King Ghidorah's DNA in Legendary Mechagodzilla. Continuing with that is electricity control. If you remember in Godzilla King of the Monsters, King Ghidorah actually can control his power of electricity with other forms of electricity. If this didn't make any sense what I said, let me just give you a straight scene from the movie, which will make sense to you now. When Madison, or no, that's not Madison, excuse me. When he's fighting Godzilla, At one point, there is a I think it's a telephone line or whatever. It's an electricity line or electricity structure, and King Ghidorah just pretty much puts his head onto it and then bites onto it, and then you can see electricity shooting out of his wings. It's probably the most prominent scene in the whole movie, and that's what this pretty much is. So, Mechagodzilla or Legendary Mechagodzilla can actually find forms of electricity around them and control them at his, instead of like, it's not the same usage of what King Ghidorah did, but he can control them at his own will. So he can cause electricity lines to shoot electricity at his opponent. That's what this is. Next, we have super missiles. These are missiles that come from his fingernails, or they would be fingernails if they're humanized, but they're the parts of his hand that look like a fingernail, and they're very, very sharp and strong. So they're meant to dig into the even harshest amount of flesh, and they will dig in, and they don't explode on touch. They go inside and they push as much inside as possible to the organs. Once they reach the organs, then they explode 3 times. There's 3 different small bombs and the big bomb. So they are meant to destroy organs at a very fast pace and with high amount of effect. Alright. Now we have instant repair mechanism. As we can say that but people who made a Mechagodzilla obviously want him to not lose on one quick battle. So what's gonna happen here is they put a mechanism in him where at not obviously every single degree, but into one specific degree for Legendary Mechagodzilla, if he has, let's say, 30% damage taken, then what's gonna happen is that damage can actually be repaired by a mechanism while he's actually fighting. But if it exceeds 60%, then that repair will not work. So there is a certain degree to work, but when he takes a little bit of damage, he can quickly fix it, and it could be done in unlimited amounts of time. Pretty much as long as he's functioning, that mechanism will function with him as well. So, yes. Now going with that, we have the Red Alert Blast. This is the most ultimate ability for Legendary Mechagodzilla, but it will also actually and ultimately lead it to his demise. Because if he knows he's gonna die, if he knows, or not die, he's not a creature, but if he knows that he's going to lose the battle, he's going to go kaboom, what he can do is he can put on Red Alert Blast, which is a blast that the scientists at Monarch took in. They studied Legendary Godzilla's Burning Godzilla Blast and made something even 2 times more stronger. And the only way it will ignite is if Legendary Mechagodzilla decides to put it on Red Alert Blast. If he puts that, he himself will blow up and obviously die as a robot, and it will most probably kill his opponent by doing the Red Alert Blast and anything at a 25-mile radius. So it's pretty big. And everything else, as I said, the height is 150 meters, territorial is maximum, aggression is maximum, and biome is Earth. Okay, that right there is going to be Legendary Mechagodzilla. Now, I've also created a backstory for Legendary Destoroyah, so let's go ahead and talk about Legendary Destoroyah. Let's move on to the next monster. Legendary Destoroyah came into existence after the United States Army shot the Oxygen Destroyer at Godzilla and King Ghidorah, fighting in the ocean, and the blast was strong enough to blast Godzilla into a complete shock and to cause severe physical damage. It did nothing to King Ghidorah, as the laws of physics of Earth do not apply to a creature from a different realm, but the chemical reaction with the Oxygen Destroyer, Godzilla and King Ghidorah combined created a new organism who hates the existence of oxygen itself, known as Destoroyah. Now, abilities, I'm going to quickly skim over them. We'll finish off Destoroyah or Legendary Destoroyah, and we'll do a deep analysis just like we did last time. So, abilities goes as follows: Anti-Oxygen Blast, Crown of the Fallen King's Zap, Stomach Tongue, it's pretty gruesome, Tail Grip, Super Spiny Skin, and the Eye Blast. Continuing on, his height is 145 meters. He's a big one. Territorial is none because he hates the existence of life and he tries to kill it as much as possible. Aggression exceeds the maximum level. And Biome is unlimited point of life because he in reality does not need oxygen to live because he has the formations of the oxygen destroyer in him, so he can live on without oxygen, being a very powerful being. Okay, let's go back to the abilities and let's talk about them. Anti-oxygen blast. This comes strictly, as you know, this creature was made from the oxygen destroyer. And what does the oxygen destroyer do? It destroys oxygen in a given area. So obviously he's going to have that ability. He is a living form of the oxygen destroyer, so he can use, like, imagine Godzilla uses an atomic blast. That blast itself is not radiation, but itself is a what a word. A force of, I want to say, a power that itself in that specific area that hits his opponent destroys the oxygen in that area for a few minutes. So there is no oxygen for them to breathe. They will be choking for a few seconds. And the last time I remembered, you can't fight if you can't have oxygen because you're going to be out of breath. Next we have Crown of the Fallen King's Zap. The reason why it's Crown of the Fallen King because he hates the existence of life. He is on no one's side. He's not even the son of himself. And this zap is so powerful, so strong, that this zap it's very short. It only lasts only a few seconds. But the reason of the zap is it doesn't blast, or it's not made to be strictly to hurt his opponents because of radiation, but it's made to shoot, or it's made to blast into their opponent, and that blast itself destroys the oxygen of the organs, and the organs cannot reach oxygen, or cannot use oxygen to live, and it slowly kills his opponent from the inside out. So it's a bit scary. Next thing we have is the stomach tongue. You may wonder, what is the stomach tongue? And the stomach tongue is, I want to say, is quite interesting, but it's something that's very gruesome. So if you've watched Godzilla vs. Destoroyah ever, you notice he has this really weird formation on his stomach, and in this case it was never used in the movie, but in this case, or at least in this instance, it will be used, and the usage of it is this, and only this. It's a tongue with teeth on it, and it's gonna open up, and once it opens up, it grabs the opponent's skin, and it just completely opens up their flesh and starts biting onto their flesh. That's what it pretty much is. And it's pretty disgusting, but that's pretty much what the whole purpose is. Next we have the super spiny skin. This is not obviously an ability for him to fight off of, but it's an ability, it's more of a defense mechanism, right? It's a defensive mechanism, and from this we can easily argue that it's hard to break his skin. But we have to look at both sides of their opponents, right, to make this as a honest conclusion. So let's continue with that. We have the final one, which is the Eye Blast. And the Eye Blast is the final one, and it's probably the more weaker abilities, right? But all it does is his eyes will close, just like Shin Godzilla did, and he will shoot a very sharp laser at his opponents. It's meant to just rip up the flesh by a blast, but nothing specifically to kill anyone. His other ones will, though. His height is 145 meters, territorial is none, as I already said over that. Aggression exceeds maximum level, and Biome is unlimited point of life. Okay, let's go into the phase where we've all been waiting for. Let's put these two monsters up against each other. We're gonna go close range and far range. Obviously, close range is more practical. Monsters will try to get each other's faces and kill each other. Far range is less practical. So we'll start off with far range first, and we'll go from there. So this is what we're gonna do. I will go far range first, obviously, because I said it's less practical, and then close range will be the final one to end it off with. We'll go best out of two. Obviously, if there is a tie, if one wins one and the other wins the other one, we'll go to overtime. I'm not going to explain overtime at the moment, but we will do it if need be. So what I want to do now is I want to see, let's see what abilities Legendary Mechagodzilla can and cannot use from far range, because see, the point of far range is to limit them, and to see even if you limit their abilities, will they survive in a battle, or will they not survive in a battle? That's what you should be asking yourself. And then close range is an all-out battle that will just completely put them all out. So let's go ahead and test it out. So Legendary Mechagodzilla has EMP. Can he use that? Can he use EMP? Yes. Is it going to affect Legendary Destoroyah? Not necessarily. No, it's not. It's actually not going to affect him at all. So I'll put him at that. Gravity beams will affect him. And gravity beams can be done, it's made to go far distances, so... Oh yeah, by the way, excuse me, I didn't say this, but they're 700 meters apart. Gravity beams can travel that much of a distance, so yes. Electricity control, he could use that. Super missiles, he can use that. Instant repair mechanism, he can use that. And red alert blast, he can obviously use that. So the only one where... Actually, he can use almost every single ability, but not all of them will be to an advantage, but he can use every single ability. Okay, let's go to Legendary Destoroyah. Anti-oxygen blast, yes, it can be done. It can be used for a far distance. Crown of the Fallen King zap, yes. Stomach tongue, no. It cannot, it's not 700 meters long. It cannot travel that far, so the stomach tongue cannot be used. The tail grip can also not be used. And the super spiny skin can be used, but it's defensive, and the eye blast can also be used. Okay, so I see in this instant, the first one who's going to initiate the battle is obviously the challenger is going to be Legendary Mechagodzilla, because he is actually defending his home. He's a Earth defender, just like Godzilla would be. So I think he's going to be the first one to attack Destoroyah. Even though Destoroyah is, or Legendary Destoroyah, even though he is an intruder, Legendary Mechagodzilla will go on an aggressive mode. And I think the first thing he's going to use is the gravity beam, just to show him that I can defend myself, and I challenge you, or you leave this area because I'm defending it. Obviously, Destoroyah isn't going to give two craps, so he's going to come strictly at him, trying to destroy Legendary Mechagodzilla and at it to kill all of humanity and all of the existence of life. And I think after the gravity beam, Legendary Destoroyah can obviously use the anti-oxygen blast. Uh-oh! Last time I checked, Legendary Mechagodzilla is not a living organism, so this is not going to do anything. It might push him back a bit because it has force, it's a blast, but it's not going to do anything strictly to Legendary Mechagodzilla. So this is actually useless. And as that being happening, Legendary Mechagodzilla will know that, okay, I've been challenged to a fight, and the next thing he's going to use is, first of all, I think he's going to initiate electricity control to try and hold Destoroyah in a given place, and I think he can, not I think, he will, actually, what he will do is, he'll get every single electric circuit that is around at least 7 miles of the area, and he will use them to just shoot electricity at Destoroyah. Imagine all that force, at least, I don't know, 40, 50, maybe 60,000 electric panels shooting at you. That's gonna cause some damage, and besides the damage, it's actually gonna cause some shock, and it's gonna put Legendary Destoroyah at a sense of shock. And I think once that happens, uh, the next thing he can do is just keep on using gravity beams at the same time and using super missiles. But let's see, what can a legendary destroyer do to defend himself at this point? He really can't do anything other than just try to use the Fallen King Zap and crown. Well, yeah, the Fallen King Zap and maybe use the anti-oxygen blast just to push him back, but it's again not gonna happen. So the only thing I see is the crown of the Fallen King's Zap. Let's say he does, or let's say he's able to push Legendary Mechagodzilla down. Remember, Legendary Mechagodzilla's super missiles are meant to blow up the intestines of his opponent, and they will, because they're meant to go into deep skin, and they will travel into deep skin. And let's say that Legendary Destroyer puts him down and is about to blow him up. Well, what can Legendary Mechagodzilla do? Is it the instant repair? I don't think so. He's gonna go to Red Alert Blast because he doesn't care about himself. His only goal is to defend humanity and Earth. If he does Red Alert Blast, he's gonna blow himself up. A lot of humanity is gonna die. But killing a few is better to kill a few, but to keep more alive. That's how he's programmed. So he'll kill himself and he'll kill Destroyer at this point. Destroyer will not survive this blast, and therefore putting Legendary Mechagodzilla the winner for a far distance. Dun dun. Okay, let's go into close distance. The actual fight. So face to face, again, Legendary Mechagodzilla will be the one to initiate this battle. So, what do I see happening from this? First of all, I see that since they're face to face, Legendary Destroyer will have a height advantage because remember, Legendary Mechagodzilla is 115 meters tall, while Legendary Destroyer is 145 meters tall. Quite a difference, quite a size difference there. So this is what I actually see happening. I think that Legendary Destroyer is gonna start to bully Mechagodzilla around, throw him around everywhere until one point that he's gonna start noticing that Legendary Mechagodzilla keeps on repairing himself. So it's really gonna, I want to say, frustrate Destroyer. So what he's gonna do is he's gonna do the Crown of the Fallen King's Zap, and which is going to definitely hurt. It's definitely gonna hurt Legendary Mechagodzilla, and it's gonna start at one point. It's gonna get to a point where the circuits are not gonna be able to repair because it's gonna exceed, let's say, 60% level of damage, right? And once that happens, I think it's not just to go Red Alert Blast. I think that from a close range perspective, Legendary Destroyer is just gonna rip him up. I mean, I think he's gonna lift them up and just rip up in half of Legendary Mechagodzilla. And if he does this, most of you are gonna say, oh well, it's game over. But remember, there are circuits in there that are meant to do Red Alert Blast, and when he's cut in half, the only thing that will happen, he can't do it, but if he happens to break, the Red Alert Blast will go again, causing Legendary Destroyer to die again, putting it at a great creation, putting it at 2-0. The winner of this battle will be Legendary Mechagodzilla. Obviously, this is just my opinion. I will leave all of their abilities factors in the description, or in the description of the video, so you could use this to debate me if you want on my idea here. But this is it. The winner is Legendary Mechagodzilla. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, have a wonderful day.